common for abuse victims to record their abusers, and I often did that with my dad. I would secretly record our conversations, in part because I wanted to play back how he spoke to me to him. Moreover, he lied so much I needed evidence to play back to him how he admitted to all his crimes, especially because his claims of sobriety were ever changing. Even when fully sober, he would claim he set things high. Yet the clarity in his voice, as I heard back those conversations, did not shake me as much as the sadness in mine. I never played back those recordings to my dad. I never confronted him. And when you start healing, it's not enough to get sad about what you did, or rather, what was done to you. You have to get angry. The problem is that anger can be towards you. When I hear my voice trembling and timid, I wondered why I never played back those recordings. I hear my father so clearly going in circles and gaslighting. I want to shake the girl that is in those recordings to either rage at this loser who will never love her or anyone because he can't even love, or just walk away. For example, in one of my last recordings of our final goodbye, he admits to the years of sending my mother love letters after I said it hurt me, that I was never referenced. After all, I had left him too. He says back to me how it hurt me, but he does not apologize. He just makes me feel I am being acknowledged by repeating exactly what I said. In another recording from when I was 16, where you hear me crying as he calls me stupid and a bitch, and go and I have a few of him just going off on how disgusting the women are in his life, from his sisters to mine. He sounded so clear, and I was the lost one. When you have over 15 years of your documented abuse at your disposal, what do you do with it? That's what I wonder. I look back to look forward. And what I find is a lucidity and an awareness of my pain I never had before. My father was violent. He was a hustler and a con. He did hate women and self pity himself out of conversations, like how he admitted he owed my mother money and took that from her. But it was because he was in a bad space. He didn't say sorry. He admitted to his crime, and that's it. Just a playback and admittance that what you were saying was true, not the feelings behind them. Those were ignored. Only the facts he validated, because the feelings did not matter, in part because there was no consequence, and he really did not care. My father rested in knowing he had two people he could be a criminal towards, but would never send him to jail. And even the evidence I have now, I use to heal myself, to have my own abuser acknowledging the terror he springs on me. It's not uncommon for abuse victims, believe it or not, and it liberates me in an odd way, even if it makes me cry. It sounds crazy, but it gives me clarity and ignites my determination to redefine my life, not as my father's victim or even his survivor. I want to finally be me, and I need to get angry. I need to see where I went wrong. And that was never giving my father a consequence or a limit, which I have done with so many. But now that's changing. All right, let's discuss, let's heal. I even have a recording from my father. So my aunt told me my father does fraud and tax evasion. And we went to this mall, and I was really angry because he had promised me he was going to pay for my textbooks, and I mentioned what my aunt had told me, and that he was angry because he gets paid in cash. He takes everything in cash, and he lost $10,000. And you hear him angrily admit that that's true, but like that he didn't want her to tell me that, and that I need to stop getting sources and things like that. It's such a funny. I'm shocked that I gathered over 10 years of evidence of my father's abuse. And I know that sounds extremely weird, but I was reading up on, complex trauma and how a lot of abuse victims do that. We do record. And I even have video of when he would like knock on the door looking for my mom when we stopped talking to him, and then seeing his car speed away. And what was so crazy is I never showed my dad those recordings because that's really why I started them. My initial plan was I was a teenager, and my father, it's like the older I got, the worse his abusiveness got, the angrier he got. And then when he got sober, he got really mean. But what's so funny is when he got sober, he got so clear in his meanness. Like there was no excuse. And you hear, this is a sober man doing this. And I started recording him as a teenager because I wanted to confront him and I wanted to play back, and I never did. I just kept on recording and recording and recording. And I didn't play them back really until now. And what's amazing and crazy is that it's been such a confirmation for me that my father was evil. Because that's really what I'm at, a crossroads in my life. I need to grow up. And that's what trauma does. It stops you from growing. I feel internally like that little girl that is getting absolutely dragged by this horrible old man. And everybody sees it but tells me that it's just how it is. It's either humor or culture or drugs or, he's a liar. Because even when people admit it, yeah, your dad is bad, but what can we do? You know? And it's hard for me with daddy recovery because I think what a lot of abusers do is they play on this concept of uncertainty. I'm not lying. I'm just not telling you the truth. Your aunt isn't lying, but you are snooping, you know? And it became right around I think between 18 and 20 became more consistent. Every interaction with my dad recorded. And it just became habitual. And I did that for safety. And I was going to play it back to him. And I never did. I never did. I didn't even play it back to me. But I found them in my scavenger hunt, me and my mother did. Old love letters, stuff like that. Just trying to box this abuser. Almost like a case file against this criminal that really hurt us. But, obviously, and that was the thing why I ended it. I did this to make him pay a consequence, and I never did. And that was the point. I wanted those recordings to show my dad, you are mean, listen up, as if that would have mattered. Because you hear back him talking to me, and everything is turned against me. Everything, everything, everything. If I had shown him those recordings, which might be why I didn't, now that I think about it, it would have become a bigger mess. Now you record. He always spoke like he had this. I think I called it Jabba the Hutt voice. Like 20 grapes in his mouth. And it's just, it may sound weird, but I think we do it because, again, we're made to feel like what is happening is not happening. And it is. And then we're made to feel that if it's acknowledged that it's happening, like my dad did, like he admitted all his crimes on well, not, he didn't know on tape. It's all, but your feelings are wrong. That's what I'm saying. It was this weird thing he did of validating everything wrong he had done, but not validating the wrong feelings they caused. And I think it's because we didn't make him pay a consequence, right? It's not like we were going to file for him to go to jail, although we should have. Still could, right? It was that he didn't care. Like he cared more about consequences than he did about feelings, about broken hearts. And because we had already made it determined, we are not making this man pay consequence. This is how you treat family. You're forgiving towards family. You're loyal towards family. And there's more shame in admitting the harm someone you loved is doing to you than just letting it go. Just just silence is honorable. It's dignified. And that I think is what really hurts me. I hear the trembling of my voice. I hear how scared, how much I'm trying to make this guy like me. Oh my God, I wanted him to love me. And it's like teen Deandra versus old man H, Mr. H. And I feel so bad for her, but I also feel anger. And anger's so weird because you shouldn't feel sad for yourself and you shouldn't be angry at yourself. But at the same time, you need to feel those things because those are the foundations. It's like they're like the foundations to either a house or just an unbuilt home. If you don't get angry at you, if you don't feel sad for you, then you're not going to protect you. Because you protect someone that you see injustice is happening to. And injustice, when actually acknowledged, makes you feel sad, makes you feel bad, makes you feel enraged, makes you want to take out anybody who's facing it, block them from it, protect them from it. And that's what kills me about those recordings. My dad does not feel anything towards me. And you just hear this kid who then becomes a young adult. And I think of, wow, this is over a decade of us talking. And him admitting over and over again, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. And. He even talks horrible about his other family. Calls them the N word because they were half black. And no consequences in sight. And I wanted that to love me. Someone who's saying, I'm even disgusted with the people I do support. And I wanted that to love me. And I know I give myself grace because I was a kid. And even though this was well into my 20s, the fact that I'm alive and I will never know what it was to have a good dad is crazy to me. Just on a giant existential, I've never known a stable, emotional, an emotionally stable mentally stable home. Now, I don't know what it is to have family support. No, I really was left alone. And I hear that girl, and I'm like, ugh, I admit what she already knew. We were on our own. And it sucks because you think of the wasted years, the wasted emotions, the wasted energy. This is a guy that would have no problem ending my life. And in a way did, according to those recordings, right? And I'm being vulnerable here because it's a crazy thing abuse victims do. And if you've done that, it's natural. We really just do it for clarity and this imagined confrontation we're going to have with our abuser. And even what's funny thing is that but the imagined confrontation is coming from a place of love. Cuz you stay with this person consistently out of this imagination that one day they're going to be like, "Oh my God, I've been treating you so horrible this entire time of knowing me. And now that you played this mystical, magical recording, I'm going to stop gaslighting like I always do. And I'm going to stop verbally assaulting you like I always do. And if they are physically, I'm going to stop hitting you." You really think that. And the problem is when you're a kid, you don't. And you come from a background where a lot of people didn't love themselves. Like my family was not, it was like loving without love. Everybody just knew how to have a good time, not a deep one. We knew how to laugh, but we didn't know how to talk and talk serious. And you think if people can't get deep, if people can't get sincere, you oddly think, well, this is my family. I was born into them. I can't give up on them. I can't let them go. Then I have nobody. But they're making you a nobody. And there's a part of you that is just so shocked. You were born to people that wanted you to be no one, that you could live so long trying to change that, trying to do the reverse effect. And I say that with all sincerity. Do not judge. Do not judge me. Do not judge victims. Do not judge. I don't like to judge survivors. I don't like to judge how people survive. But I do have to eventually judge how long we're surviving the same way and not getting better results. After a while, it's like, well, damn, I think I got to change the script. It was hard to listen. It was. I cried a lot, a lot. There are times when I begged him. I begged him. And that was. And I know I was a kid. And there's just no way I could have known what I know now. Or, I don't know. Yeah. Check out addictrecovery.com and keep on healing. Follow me.